Hello everyone, Enoch here, and in today's video, y'all, we will be reacting to a video from DC1 called The Dangers of Looksmaxxing Story of James Sapphire. Now, I don't know who James Sapphire is, man, but basically, what's been popping up on my TikTok feed recently is a lot of like black pill stuff, which I think Looksmaxxing is like kind of intertwined with. I know that's a part of black pill, I'm pretty sure, because black pill, if y'all don't know, man, it's basically saying looks is everything, is a thing a lot of black pillars say. Basically, they're saying the way you look determines almost every aspect of your life. And if you're chopped, man, as they call it, if you're chopped, you're just cooked. You're not going to succeed in life. You're not going to succeed with women, not succeed with job opportunities and things of that nature. And basically what a lot of people try to do is like do surgery or bone smash and things of that nature. I know that's kind of the extreme, but some people do those type of things. And a lot of people kind of make it toxic nowadays, as they're just calling people, like, they're highly critical on people's looks, which can make people insecure. And then they kind of like, you know, just talk down on people. And basically, and some of them are kind of racist low key, but I'm not gonna get into that. But basically some people, like I'm not saying that's what black pill is or Looksmaxxing is, but a lot of some of those type of people, at least, just basically, if you're not white, bro, you're basically cooked. They're giving you a low rating and everything, man. We want to see the story of James Sapphire, man. This is what happened to him. Did he get influenced by the black pill? Now, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I'll really appreciate that, man. We're trying to reach our goal of 500 subscribers by maybe the end of the year, if that's possible. Let's get right into it.
You just want to shed a few pounds, hit the gym, try a new hairstyle, maybe switch up your wardrobe. Everyone just wants to look good. But how?
And one thing I want to, before we get into like deeper into the video, I do think that the idea of like Looksmaxxing is a good idea, because looking your best can help you a lot, but you should also make sure that you're working on who you are as a person as well. But looks can boost a lot of confidence, which can lead to more success. So I think Looksmaxxing in itself is a good thing.
How far are you willing to take it? How far would you go to look as good as you possibly can? Are you willing to take the black pill?
Maybe, man, maybe.
James Sapphire is the epitome of everything that could go wrong with male self-improvement and Looksmaxxing. Not only did this, at the time, 14-year-old child ironically lose any normality he had to his appearance in the attempts to look as good as possible, but also completely lost his sanity along the way. From permanently destroying his face with surgery to getting addicted to various types of drugs
How the hell was he even able to get that many surgeries at that age, bro? Did his parents not stop him, dude?
Even eating his own feces and drinking his own urine. James
What the hell?
Sapphire is someone who has lost everything to the black pill. With his notorious lolcow status across all depths of the internet, coupled with the fact that he has not only destroyed his appearance, but destroyed any chance of him ever having a normal life again, serves as a cautionary tale of just how dangerous taking the black pill can be.
Yeah, he must be an extremist, bro. Cause I ain't gonna lie, most people I've seen with black pill ain't doing all that.
Something I should preface before starting this video is that James is a pretty huge troll, and it's hard to decipher what is embellished and what is true about him. I've done quite a bit of research for this video and have spoken with many people who are or were close to James at different points of his life, so I feel like I've got a good account of what his story is, but it gets pretty convoluted at points, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. Also, James is extremely racist and misogynistic, so any slurs or hateful rhetoric should...
It checks out. I told you guys, a lot of the black pillars are like that,
in any of the screenshots I've taken of posts James has made. I just want to make clear, I do not stand by, and if stuff like this is triggering to you, especially the N-word that seems to be a favorite of James, I would recommend clicking off the video.
I could take that, man. Racism ain't that surprising anymore.
James Sapphire, also known as Curly Head James, was born in Dallas, Texas, between the years of 2003 and 2005. James had a pretty rough childhood, with his father dying in the military before he was born, and his mother being an adult film star as well as a drug addict. While it seems he has been in contact...
That's a tough combination, man. I ain't gonna say too much, man. We're trying to be a little nice person, you know? But That is a tough upbringing, man.
In fact, with his birth mother at certain points in his life, he claims he wants nothing to do with her, disgusted by her line of work, specializing in some pretty vulgar fetish stuff. And you can't really blame James for this. She definitely does not seem to be in a solid headspace much of the time, from drugs and other mental illness problems, often leaving incoherent rants across a lot of James's social media accounts. It even seems although she was homeless for at least a period of time, as James shared a clip of her on the news when on a podcast.
Find ways to relocate the homeless.
I haven't heard.
There she is. That's my mom.
Right there. Okay, that looks like the woman.
Says she's been homeless for 8 months, despite what the airport says about trying to relocate the homeless. Says nobody has talked to her about moving.
No.
In fact, she says the airport seems to welcome them.
I'm grateful to the police for letting us come out here and stuff.
It's unclear on if his mother is still homeless now or even still alive. James is emancipated, and he claims although his mother lost custody of him in 2013, which was when James was roughly about 7. So through most of James' childhood, he grew up being raised by his extended family in the Dallas, Texas surrounding area. It could also be that James is lying about this being his...
These pictures have to be photoshopped, right? Because if it's not, this is actually like crazy looking, bro.
Would make
crazy
a lot
looking.
more sense, although from the research I've done, I'm actually more inclined to believe that this is his actual birth mother. I'm not gonna get into detail for confidentiality reasons, but from speaking to people around James and public records, this does seem to actually be his real birth mother. But despite his bad circumstances, James was a pretty normal kid for much of his childhood. He played sports, had friends, and was pretty popular among his peers. He even had girls from his school texting him on Snapchat and received numerous compliments on his then youthful appearance. And one time,
I just want to make sure it was finished. But like, that's the crazy part. Sometimes people can actually look pretty attractive to women and then they still end up falling to the black pill, bro. Like, they trying to look even better, bro. Having a good jawline is nice, right? But when it gets to the point where you have to get surgery to get a nice jawline, bro, unless you end up looking like probably Tom Brady, man, when he fixed himself up, you shouldn't really do it, bro. If you're already getting girls beforehand, bro, just stick to that. Just stick to what's good, bro. No need to be doing all that.
A girl who was interested in James as a compliment called him a pretty boy, and little did either of them know that this singular comment would come to ruin James Sapphire's life forever.
So he ain't like being called that.
Not knowing what a pretty boy was, a 14-year-old James Sapphire Googled it just to see what it meant, where a picture of Chico came up on a website called Looksmaxxing.org. Now, for those unaware, Looksmaxx is a website and forum dedicated to mostly men trying to max out how good they can genetically appear for the opposite sex. In recent years, it's become a much more known and talked about topic, to which a lot of people actually seem to credit James Sapphire for popularizing. And on paper, Looksmaxxing doesn't sound like anything too bad. The idea of looking as good as you can isn't inherently a bad thing.
Not at all.
It's the site's users that make this extremely toxic, frequently telling people of whom they refer to as having bad genetics that they will never find love, and even encourage them to themselves, all because they don't look a certain way. A forum
which is
like this
so fucked up, bro. Bro, how do y'all think, like, I'm not trying to say this the wrong way, but like, how do y'all think there's chop people out here with kids, bro? Chop people, go with chop people, or even if that doesn't even have to be the case, bro. You could be chopped and still get a decent looking to good looking girl, bro, and vice versa, bro. I know I'm not just saying that as cope. I know that's not likely, but it could still happen.
Extremely dangerous to a malleable adolescence, and James Sapphire has become the poster child for this. After initially discovering the site on accident, James began to frequently post himself across the forum, where people began to
had a good
brainwash him into
bro.
believing he would never be successful in the dating world unless he received various different cosmetic surgeries and fillers, telling him he needed more chin projection, bigger lips, less face fat, and a bunch of other ways in which his appearance was lacking. And eventually, James began to actually start believing them. Even though at the time, girls were still hitting him up on Snapchat, even inviting him to multiple different parties. After discovering the forum, this was not enough for James. He then posted his eyes in a private chat on the site and was told his eye area...
The eye area part, bro, when they began to that, you know you're cooked, bro. That's too deep in. You don't need to be doing all of that, man. You don't.
...was utter dog and he would
See?
never
Yep.
find love unless he got UE filler, canthroplasty, and orbital implants. James was taken aback by this.
That weekend picture, man. Jeez.
Girls had always complimented him on his eyes, but now he was being told he needed surgery by people he trusted, so...
And the crazy part, these are just a bunch of men telling you these things, bro. Most of the people in these forums are men, bro, not women. So why would you listen to men on advice on how to get girls, bro?
He became more and more depressed.
Listen to a man about what looks
He
best.
felt totally insecure about his appearance and vowed to do anything he could to change it. This was the last video James claims was taken of him before he went completely off the rails, and everyone in his city began to hate him.
And them bitches are mine. You're not getting them back. And I put that on my mother.
What the hell?
You're not getting them hoes back.
Look at Billy Badass over here, dude. Hell's wrong with him? Thinks he's so tough, bro. Relax.
Since James was pretty popular, this video proceeded to go viral at James' school, and everyone began to bully him. Any friends he had prior and any girls who were talking to him completely did away with him, and he became seen as easy bait at his school. People would come threaten him with baseball bats, take his jewelry, make him pay for protection. He claims he basically became public enemy #1 in...
Wait, just for Looksmaxxing? It's crazy how the world really be hating on people. So far, all bro did was just try to Looksmax. What's all these? Why people just mad because he's popular again? The girls at his school, bro?
This city. So this is where James decided to drop out of school, using what little money he had to buy more surgery, as well as having bought HGH, AIs, and MK677.
I'm glad I don't know what these things are,
bro.
bro.
Know are steroids. James is still to this day super vengeful of the people who bullied him in high school, frequently posting about how much he hates them and how he can't wait to one day get revenge on all of them for whatever that might mean. James seems to be pretty self-aware of his situation. He himself even claims to have lost everything to this forum. From taking the advice from incels on Looksmaxx.org, he slowly started to become one himself and lost everything in the process.
Bro, this
James,
flash is
losing
hurting my
everything
fucking
and
eyes.
completely regretting the surgeries he had done to his face, says in a post, "If I would have known what taking such strong responsibility and having this powerful information would do to me, I would have ignored it and lived ignorantly in bliss." But little did he know that this would only be the tip of the iceberg for just how low his life could get. Now, the timeline for James Sapphire's social media side of his story is a little convoluted, and
kinda cringy, man, I ain't gonna lie.
might not be exactly perfect, but I do think this is the most interesting part of the James Sapphire story, so I'm going to try my best to get this side of his journey coherent. It seems after dropping out with no education or real way to make money, this is where James Sapphire began to try to take becoming an internet personality more seriously. He did initially go out and get a regular job at the dollar store to make some money for himself so he could buy more surgery, candy, etc. But James would only work there for about 5 months before quitting, as he described actually working a regular job for a living as slave labor, and he also wasn't very enthusiastic about many of his African American co-workers. James vowed he would never work a normal job again and began to put more focus into what he was doing on social media. He had been doing TikTok and Instagram stuff up until that point, but never really took it too seriously. James Sapphire stated himself on his Looksmaxxing account, "If you people had a song and lore with potential, you would take it. It's not my fault as well. I fell into a friend group of a bunch of TikTokers who I will not name who persuaded me to promote this stuff. Besides, normies see it as a joke." But as James said, people were intrigued by his story and dissension into madness, with me included, so he thought he would make a pivot into capitalizing on it. And to some degree, it worked. As I said earlier, he is the one who popularized this whole Looksmaxxing craze, as well as bone smashing, but that one's kind of weird. I'll get into that one later. James
I actually never knew this dude. He actually popularized this? Is that 100% true? I don't know.
Continued to post more
If he did
and more
this,
to
what's
his
up?
TikTok
I guess.
and began to amass
Not
a
really.
relatively small but very loyal following. Then in 2021, he would branch out to other platforms like Instagram and Snapchat, and this is about the time I found out about him, even though I wish I didn't. Here are some screenshots of the stuff he used to post on his stories back in the day. Just extremely racist, misogynistic,
I didn't even exactly see what it said. Let me go take a look at this.
racist, misogynistic, incel stuff he used to
Incels get a bad rep, but we don't care because you women don't know shit and you're all retards. White is the best race. Whites are worshipped by Asians as well. Why do you think all the characters in anime are white with light eyes? Why do you think girls worship light eyes? Don't call me a racist for hating all black women because I hate all women excluding Mexican women, white women, especially Indians. I also hate all Filipina women, but they're slightly less worse than American women. I am a racist for hating all races, but not specifically for hating black people because my hate for women goes to all races. What goes around comes around, and my love for having sex goes around. I have had sex hundreds of times. You all think I'm a virgin, but I am not. I am a sad mother who judges too much on looks. The sex count if you scissor, cause that's what I do. I have a vagina.
Post on his stories.
What
back in the
the
day.
hell, bro? Oh, he said fuck all women. I didn't even see that part either. At 14, is he still 14 at this point?
At this point, sometimes even like 20 times.
Now, one thing I do hate is like people that post on their story like 60 times. These are like 60 stories. What do you, bro? Just make a video at that point, bro. You do not need to be. What is so important that you need 60 freaking stories to get across, bro? It actually pisses me off. This is one thing that pisses me off. Then when you're trying to click, bro, it takes decades to click all the way through, bro. Even when you gotta use the 2-finger method just to freaking do it, bro. It's actually insane.
Both his respective stories. James also seems to have a huge disdain to showering or really any practice of hygiene.
Oh, so he thought that was gay.
Ranted about as well on his social media. Here's maybe my favorite post James has ever made on his
in 8 months. Hasn't showered in 8 months.
As following.
Oh, he eats his boogers?
In 8 months. Don't brush my teeth. Eat my poop. Boogers. Drink urine. Don't wipe. Don't clean my penis after I jerk off 10 times a day. Sit in my room all day naked playing Roblox. I don't shave or clean my fingernails and toenails. Don't cut them. Plus I have lice. While you have to take showers and do everything, I don't. Oh yeah, James also seems to have a huge affinity for trans women, expressing his attraction towards them many times on his Looksmaxxing profile, claiming that trans women have not wronged him in the same way that real women have, so he therefore doesn't hold any grudges against them as he does with women born female at birth. He is such an incel that it literally turns him into being LGBTQ. Some people would probably say this is trolling, which fair, but I feel like there's at least something to this. The post seemed to come from a pretty genuine place of attraction, but who knows. This is also roughly about the time that James ate his own feces and drank his own urine on camera.
Yo, what's up guys? You see this on my finger. I'm gonna send the video to my story very soon once I eat it. Low key, it does not look too bad.
This is pretty obviously fake, but just goes to show the type of stuff he would post on his social media at the time. If he was ever going to try to take this seriously, he was going about it in the completely wrong direction. Or maybe
Digital
not.
Footprint Hall
I'm
of Fame.
talking about it right now,
Stop,
so hey,
dog.
maybe this was a good decision since he was already not taken very seriously at the time. This is probably just another attempt at him going viral. But either way, James was only able to keep his Snapchat and original Instagram up for another few months before getting banned due to the type of content he posted, but that was okay because luckily for James, he had an ace up his sleeve. James subsequently decided this is where he would start to drop some music. He seems to have had a love of music since his childhood. There's even videos of him playing guitar in his school talent show, so this seemed like a logical next step for his social media endeavors. Now, James's trajectory and sound throughout his music career is very diverse, going through multiple different distinct phases in his musical journey. The first of which is a pitched up pop star motif. His first few songs sounded like they could be on the Disney Channel or like a Kids Bop playlist. The most popular song from this era is called Together, which also got turned into a meme sound on TikTok.
Yeah, this dude's a troll. He's a fucking troll. This shit, he's a troll, bro. Nobody would actually drop this music and think it's nice. That's just not happening.
I honestly don't know what James was thinking when he was making this. I couldn't imagine anyone ever actually listening to this outside of a meme, so maybe that's what he was going for. But luckily for us, this era of James didn't last long as he pretty quickly changed his sound from Disney pop to hyperpop. James demonstrated this change on what would be his most popular feature ever and second biggest song he's ever been on, Y2K by Party Like 2000s.
This shit is fucking garbage too.
I'm not gonna lie, as someone who used to be a big hyperpop fan, I actually kind of like this song.
I don't know how y'all fuck with that hyperpop shit, man. I'm not saying hyperpop is trash, but like, just based off these last 2 songs I've been hearing, man, come on, bro.
And used to listen to it at the gym. But as James was making music, he continued to troll on social media, often making himself the butt of the jokes in his TikToks, and kind of embraced his overall living meme status he carved out for himself at that point. During this period, James actually seemed to be doing alright for a while. That is, until eventually everything took a turn for the worst. This is what I'm going to dub the rockstar era of James Sapphire.
What is, like, and also I'm wondering, what is this damn edit? Like, did the YouTuber make this edit, or is like that's the guy's edit, bro? This shit is fucking
music,
like scary, low key, bro.
And deteriorating mental health. I think this is a good title. This era kicks off with arguably James' most notable achievement to date, founding and popularizing a new subset of Looksmaxxing called bone smashing. Now, before I go into detail on what bone smashing is, I just want to say I do not endorse or encourage anyone at home to try bone smashing. This is an
if you try bone smashing, bro, you're actually a damn idiot. That's all I gotta say, bro. You're just natural selection at that point if you actually decide to go damn bone smashing, man.
extremely dangerous endeavor that can more or less be chalked up to pure pseudoscience, so keep that in mind. But bone smashing is where you lightly hit your face with a hammer or some hard object to slowly refine your face into having a more chiseled structure. Eventually, from repeated light blunt force trauma, the bones start to grow and mold themselves into having a more desired shape. Some studies say that it can actually be successful in refining face shape if done properly, but
yeah, but you know, most people are not doing that properly. It seems like something that you gotta use with very, very strong care, man.
Others claim it to just be a fictitious internet trend with no real facts behind it. I'm more inclined to believe the latter on this one, but to each their own. Either way, James Sapphire is credited for starting and popularizing this trend, and it even landed him an interview with Know Your Meme, a pretty sizable website and internet culture hub. The interview is basically just asking James some questions about bone smashing, like what it is and if it works, where James speaks on his experience with doing it for what he claims has been 2 years at that point. I'll link the full interview in the description if you want to read it in its entirety, but there is one excerpt from it that I think is pretty damning and shows James opening up a bit about his mental health. To the question, do you regret bone smashing? James Sapphire responds as saying, I have a ton of regrets in life. Bone smashing is a cult for me, a safe space, even if it is just a placebo. Each time I pick up that hammer, I feel empowered with each hit. I know I will achieve my goal. All the times I was beat up at school, approached once by the baseball team who had bats threatening to kill me, thrown into bathrooms and scuffed up and bullied, each hit I've had to endure from normies is represented by my smashes. And not only is it an emotional scar, but it is now a physical scar shown visibly on my face. Bone smashing seems to be more than just a way to look better for James. It's a tool he uses to forget the outside world and sedate his mind into only concentrating on forming a better.
Like, I'm kind of at a loss for words to say about all of this. Like, I look-y kind of feel sad for him. But then at the same time, it's like, bro, this is like the worst type of response possible you can have to something.
Better face structure, instead of dealing with the many problems he has in his life. I truly do feel really bad for James when hearing stuff like this, but sadly for him, this interview proved to do nothing but worsen his situation, because after this interview with Know Your Meme, James would subsequently get doxxed as well as swatted. See, while James does have a lot of fans, with him being a huge internet troll and lolcow, he has just as many, if not more, haters. As you saw by many of the screenshots I've used, he isn't exactly the nicest guy on the internet, and he's been notoriously known to go into voice chats on Discord just to talk shit and troll people. So all the trolling he's done through the years seemed to actually catch up to him in real time, with him having to face real life consequences due to his actions over the internet. But it wasn't all bad for James, as here he would have a short victory, at least as far as his music career went. This is where James made his most popular single to date, called Black Pill Curse, which gained a lot of traction on TikTok yet again, especially in Looksmaxxing posts. This song sits at having well over 1 million streams on Spotify
Can
and
I hear
just
it?
under 300,000 views on YouTube as of this recording, which is definitely nothing to scoff at. These are some pretty notable numbers, which shows despite his bad reputation, he does have a genuine fan base. Here's a clip of the song itself.
Yeah, this sounds like
This song
that is the most like black pill ass song, bro.
actually had stuck in my head all throughout the process of making this video. If the lyrics weren't so tied to the black pill, I would even call this a good song, which seems to be a pretty common sentiment held by many fans of his as well, but James seems to not really care and wants to embrace his black pill identity farther. But aside from his music, this is easily the darkest period of James' life, as any success or money he'd make from his music or his social media profiles would go directly into fueling his budding drug addiction. See, one thing I didn't mention is that all throughout 2022 and much of 2023, James Sapphire had been heavily using substances such as methamphetamine, cocaine, and codeine promethazine syrup, also known as lean. So much so that James was even sent to a mandatory state-induced rehab in late 2023. He seems to have gone through long bouts of drug-induced psychosis, as well as just a general loss of reality, which is backed up by the very strange, delirious posts he would make during this time period, as well as the downright bizarre songs and style of editing he put out during his time of hard drug use. He claims he was a daily user at that point, sinking further and further into a deeper and deeper depression, all leading to James eventually overdosing on methamphetamine with
these fucking poop pictures, bro.
dying,
Take it off
then
my
being
fucking
forced
screen,
into
man.
a rehab facility.
Like,
This was
actually.
the complete rock bottom for James. By this point, his drug problem had completely spiraled out of control. And between him dropping out of high school and the fact that he could never get a normal job because one Google search of his name would prevent anyone from ever hiring him, James Sapphire felt like he had completely ruined his entire life, and to much degree, he most certainly did. He may never be able to fully recover from his past mistakes and will probably go to the grave with his face still mangled by plastic surgery, but at the very least, it does seem as of late he is taking the right steps towards putting his life back together. He's actively seeing multiple different therapists to deal with his
That's
past
good.
trauma
Very good.
and has gotten completely sober from hard drugs, now only using marijuana. And while James still doesn't seem to be interested in working a normal job, he seems to be coasting frugally off government assistance and food stamps. James says in a post that he gets $1,200 a month from military disability due to his deceased father and relies on food stamps for his basic necessities, getting a bit of money from his music.
Can I answer this question? Because I was actually like concerned, like, how is he getting all the money to like to still be living the way he was living, bro?
As well as other in-person side hustles to keep him afloat, only really ever leaving his apartment to go to therapy or to get groceries. It isn't exactly a very ideal situation, kind of just coasting off government assistance, but it still is a big step up for how his life was going previously. Also, as of recently, James has gotten completely off social media, deleting all his Instagram posts and removing much of the videos on his YouTube channel, which I think is the right move for James. Social media has done nothing but harm to James throughout his life, so him taking the initiative to consciously remove himself from his online identity is the only way I see James ever really recovering. While James is now stepping away from the black pill, it's not the same James as he was before. He said multiple times that his internet personality was not a persona and was just a mirror of how he was really feeling at the time. And now, with everything said and done,
I believe him on
he's
that,
left
low
with
key.
many regrets and trauma from a life of unsupervised internet usage that led him to where he is today. I want to end this segment with a quote from James himself that I feel really encapsulates the fallout of his story well. They took everything from us. Took our depression, turned it into a joke, we got nothing out of it. Now I'm left rotting in despair while they get to move on with their lives. I am only now just starting to pick up the pieces and finally get my life back together after being on hiatus my entire teenage years. They all took advantage of me during my emotional distress and high out of my mind on crystal meth, coercing me into doing things I not only regret looking back on, but things that will severely impact my future for the rest of my life. I will never forgive or forget the ones who did this to me. What I hope everyone can take away from this video is that you should be very careful on what you post and view online. The internet never forgets, and a post you make today can and will be used to haunt you down the road.
Yep.
Be mindful of what you are doing on here. Any toxic fringe internet circles such as the black pill should be avoided at all costs. It will do nothing but ruin your mind and further dampen your spirit. It's most likely too late for James Sapphire, but it is most certainly not too late for you. Please seriously stop and think before you engage with the internet, because if you don't, the consequences could be detrimental. But I hope you enjoyed the video.
This was one hell of a fucking video, man. I ain't even gonna lie, bro. And like, I low-key think like this isn't just about Looksmaxxing or black pill or any of those type of things, bro. It's deeper than that. It's like, it's the internet as a whole, bro. Because this can happen with like any topic. Getting too and like being on the internet too much can change your life so much, bro. It make you so much more depressed because you're always comparing yourself to others and you never feel good enough because the people on the internet always have something to say. That's what I be saying, bro. Whenever you see people saying nonsense online, bro, just step away from the screen, bro. You realize these people would have probably not talked to you like this IRL, or they're insecure with themselves as well, man. But honestly, this is actually a sad story, bro. I hope James Sapphire has got his life together. I know this video is a year old, man. But shit, that is a crazy come up. He's probably like, what, 17, 18 right now? Same age as me, basically. That's crazy, man. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe and comment for more videos from me. It's Enoch out. Y'all see you on the next video. Peace out.